This question used to always stump me up until I got smart and I decided to figure out an answer to the question. But you introduce yourself to someone or a customer or a client, a guest, and I'm a chef, and the first thing they ask you is, "What's your specialty?" And I always never really had an answer for that. Until recently, when I figured out that I need to have an answer for that because everybody asks you. Because I'm formally trained in Italian cuisine. I've traveled to Italy, and I've trained uh, in Italian culinary techniques. But I'm also heavily trained in the French technique, and I really love Asian food. So I have a lot of interests in cooking and culinary arts, but I never really narrowed down a specialty. But this is what customers and potential customers will ask you on a constant basis: is what is your specialty? So you want to come up with a concise, let's say, elevator pitch, something you would quickly say to them to set yourself apart on what you're extremely good at. So what is your specialty? Have an answer to that type of question. And these are common questions that customers will ask you. It's important that you have answers to these questions already prepared before you get on the phone or get in a face-to-face with a customer, so you can answer these questions and not be stuck like me, dumbfounded, when somebody asks me what my specialty is and I really don't know what to tell them because I love everything about culinary arts. So now, the first one is, what is your catering what is your catering or culinary specialty? This is a very common question for someone to ask you, and you should have an answer for that. Uh, the second common question that a customer would ask you is, what size events could you prepare for? And you will have a general idea of what you're comfortable with preparing, and I don't want you to stray too far from what you're comfortable preparing. When just starting out, doing something like a 50-person wedding plated without having your warm up filled out, which we talk about in the course, more on hospitality.com or the link in the description. You got the free training there. I'll teach you about the warm up. But if you don't have a service staff that you can rely on or additional help to help you prepare these larger, more complicated events like a 50-person plated wedding, then you want to make sure that that is a part of your answer or not a part of your answer when someone asks you what size event can you handle. Can you do a 50-person buffet style? Yes. So that's a good start. 50-person buffet style or less, or 20-person plated. Have a good idea of what you can accomplish and what you're good at solo or with the the resources of staff and help that you can get through developing your warm app. So if you do have a service staff available that you can easily rely on, there's companies out there that also lease service staff, and you want to be able to vet them before you end up shelling over money for a service staff that may not be what you expect. But if you do have access to a service staff and they know how to cater events like a 50-person wedding plated, then go ahead and tell the customer that you are able to do that. But don't make promises that you cannot keep, because eventually this potential client might turn into a real client, or they might refer a potential client to you, and they'll have expectations of you, and you don't want to disappoint when they ask you to do something like a 50-person plated wedding and you don't have the capability to do it. And that's totally fine. I don't suggest that you start taking jobs that big, especially just starting out. And another question would be, do you have staff like bartenders and waiters? The true and honest answer would be the true and honest answer, and the answer that you should give them. No, I don't have any waiters and bartenders on staff, but I have partners which I can organize for your event to help serve the event and make it great. So you can contract out bartenders and waiters if that's something you're comfortable with doing, if that's part of your warm up, and you let those people take care of that. And on the same token, do you have? Here's another question there is: do you have tents, tables, chairs, linens, silverware, plateware? Most likely, if you're just starting out, you don't have that stuff, right? But you can get it. It's very easy. If you fill out once again, your warm app correctly, you would know that there were event rental companies in your area, and they always do business with small caterers, large caterers, and the like. And you can easily get on the phone with them and tell them what you need, and they can give you a quote for how much that's going to cost. And you can just, carry that pricing over to your quote in the BEO that you supply that client. Or you can upcharge it by, 5% and get a little 5% cut for organizing the purchase of those rentals. So yeah, the answer is like you can get these items and organize them for them as part of the complete service of your catering business. But you don't actually own the products. You don't have to say that, but you can say, I can provide you with the glassware, silverware, china, tents, and tables. I just need to know what you need, and I'll give you a quote for all of that. If you're in the business of selling trays of food, so I don't teach you to sell trays. I teach you to price and cost per person. But if you're in the business of selling trays of food for catering, pretty standardized trays, half hotel pans, full sheets, or whatever, people are constantly going to ask you, how many does this feed? How many does that feed? So how many people does your small or medium or large trays feed? So have those answers on hand and handy. Another common question that customers will ask you, is there a delivery fee, or do you deliver catering orders? I don't suggest you charge a delivery fee. In fact, I highly suggest that you keep your pricing as simple as possible. So when it comes to any sort of catering, unless you have a service staff that requires a service fee, any catering job is a price per person or a flat rate price. And that's it, plus tax. But that's it. So don't add a delivery fee of $30 to it. Just keep it calculated into the price per person, so it's so incredibly simple for your potential client to make a decision on whether or not to choose you. But, do you deliver catering orders? Of course you do. You want the business. Do you charge a delivery fee? I highly recommend that you don't. Can you order non-alcoholic drinks through you? Yes, of course. Can you order alcoholic drinks through you? I don't know about that. You may want to consult with your local laws. You can do a Google search, if anything, or you could talk to your colleagues in the industry and whether or not you can do something like that. But I doubt it. And you kind of want to stay away from alcohol if that's not in the business. Do you have, another question, do you have any gluten-free dishes? Do you have any vegan dishes? Can you accommodate any of these dietary concerns or allergens? The answer needs to be honest, but you want to do everything in your power to be completely honest, but everything in your power to be able to cater to these types of clients because they're growing and they're not going away. Gluten allergies can be extremely deadly in some cases. So you want to make sure that you're honest and upfront with your potential client on what your capabilities are with that. If you have a potentially deadly allergic reaction or a potentially extremely allergic person in the group, but you make fresh pasta in the facility where you're going to be preparing their catering, then the chances of cross-contaminations are likely, and you want to be honest with them about that. But if it's not that serious, they'll tell you, it's like, oh, no, it's not that serious. It's just, so-and-so. Then, you can discuss that with them. But you want to be able to have good answers for if you can provide vegan food, if you could provide, kosher for Passover food. These are also more common questions that people are going to ask of you. So, keep those questions in mind. Have answers for them before you get on the phone with people. And in your conversations with people in your life day to day, when you meet customers at work, or you're starting to talk to people about what you do for work, and they're asking you questions about you, yourself, and what you know, and these common questions start to come up between all of them. It's time to start coming up with answers to those questions, so you're not always standing there dumbfounded like I did when someone asks me, "What's your specialty?" I mean, because everything's my specialty, right? No. It's artisan Italian cuisine with heavy influence in French and a high interest in Asian cuisine would be my answer.